My mama told me if a boy push you, then you better push back. My papa told me if a cop push you, then you can't push back. Hold up. I was born with my rights, you ain't gotta read those. Why you creep for? I'm just on with the voice, why I gotta scream for? Please no. I'm me. I'm love, I'm lost, I'm fine, I got this all. Just know that we just wanna live. We don't want no debt, we don't need defeat. All we want is bread, we just wanna eat. We don't need the grief, we could keep the peace. We don't need police now. Father, please, tell him not to come bother me. They tryna Martin Malcolm, they gon' martyr me. Hate the God in me, ain't no God in me, but the I. What the hell has voted ever solved? I'm appalled that you think that that's a cause. Think it's cash involved, think that that's a job. And you think my passion's on a picture, cash and cars. Wishful thinking that's an afterthought. I ain't take the road you crafted for me, so you rip and tell me my path is wrong.
Fear, hatred is going brown so clear. But we can't leave it there. Yeah. Cause they're taking lives that they didn't give. Should apologize for every tear mama cried. That's right. Oh yeah. All I gotta say is they don't really care about us. Cause times ain't really changing. I see no one that we can trust. And I just wanna live, yeah. We just wanna live, we just wanna live, yeah. Oh, no. We just wanna live, we just wanna live, yeah. Oh, no. Won't let me live, they won't let me live, yeah. We just wanna live, we just wanna live, yeah. Oh, no. We just wanna live, we just wanna live, yeah. Oh, no. We just wanna live, we just wanna live, yeah. Won't let me live, they won't let me live, yeah. We just wanna live, we just wanna live,
okay,
yeah.
Greater things is yet to come. Greater things is still to be done. I'm all like Brian down 3-1. My God crazy, he a 3-1, he divine. Read my lips, dog, Milli Vanilli. I'm the freshest Prince, Big Willie and Philly. Okay, new president, same God. That's the ultimate trump card. We finna go crazy at the Holy Land. So crazy like Kobe fans. I mean, it make no sense, it's like the Oakley band. I got the Angels with me, I'm like Tony Danza. Nino already snapped off, and Malik got in the Mike Jack song. So all that's left for me to do is just to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All I gotta say, all I got, they don't really care about us, no. Cause times ain't really changing. See no one that we can trust. Yeah. We just wanna live, we just wanna live, yeah. We just wanna live, we just wanna live, yeah. Won't let me live, they won't let me live, yeah. We just wanna live, we just wanna live, yeah. We just wanna live, we just wanna live, yeah. We just wanna live, we just wanna live, yeah. Won't let me live, they won't let me live, yeah. We just wanna live, we just wanna live, yeah.
South, can y'all really feel us? East Coast, feel us. West Coast, say what? South, can y'all really feel us? East Coast, feel us. West Coast, say what? South, can y'all really feel us? East Coast, feel us. West Coast, say what? South, can y'all really feel us? East Coast, feel us. West Coast, say what? West Coast, say what?
What's up, Indies? How's it going, gang? I got Chris Cannon back here producing some records. What's up, Chris? You guys just heard him on the intro music if you've been with us for a little while. What's up, Chris Robles here? Major moment guy. What's up, guys? The West Coast I keep hearing about in this song. Yeah, man. That's Signacio Scanone on that second song as well. I'm very excited to be in here with you guys for another exciting edition of Indies Live. We're going to get right into some questions. But first, just like if you're in here and you haven't already, say what's up. Let me know you're here. I would love to hear from y'all. With that said, if you've got any questions as I'm going through the questions that are in the Facebook comments below, leave them in the YouTube chat, which should be right here. Should be here. There. I'm pointing to it. I know I am. And I will get them answered as soon as I'm done with the Facebook comments. Chris, I mentioned you and Kevin on today's YouTube video. A funny story that I think you're going to like is at the end of that YouTube video, so definitely check it out. I think you'll have a laugh. Revealed something that you might not know about me involving you guys. With that said, let us continue on with the questions. Oh, by the way, if you guys haven't yet gotten your tickets for CD Baby Conference in Austin, Texas on August 16th through the 18th, Corinne and I will be there teaching a 3-hour intensive on digital marketing for independent musicians, and we're very excited about it. So I would love to see all you guys out there if you get the chance. With that said, Alexandra Razumova asks, "Hey Kyle, so I'm currently running a headline test published on Monday night, and what happened is 2 out of 5 ad sets were approved on Tuesday morning when others were still in review. 2 of them were approved 6 hours later, the last one 14 hours later. Didn't expect that because it makes the testing not fair. Is it? I tried to switch it off on the ad set level, then on the ad level, yet they were still visible, so the numbers were going up regardless. When I tried to switch off the campaign itself, it, of course, showed not delivering, and I doubt that it would get approved this way, so I turned it back on. I also asked in the group and had only one comment saying that it happens to him more often now. I was sure that they are going to be approved at the same time. Puzzled. What are your thoughts about it? Can I count on the winner?" So, yes. What will happen is Facebook's got a more intense review process now because of the Cambridge Analytica scandal and all the Russian spam bots influencing the United States election of 2016. So now they have to very carefully review all the ads. So they have an artificial intelligence layer of review. And if that gets disapproved, you can appeal the review. You can appeal the disapproval, and that will go in front of a real human being who's just sort of like quickly glancing. And then if that gets disapproved and you're really pissed about it, then it'll go in front of a human being for a longer review. We've just gone through this process. I just launched an ad campaign today, this morning. I launched an ad campaign level optimization with like 8 or 9 ad sets and different ads and different creative and offers in them. And like a bunch of them didn't get approved, and I had to manually review, and then they got approved. When it comes to a split test campaign scenario, you're going to let me just check real quick. All right, yeah. When it comes to a split test, that it's very rare that you're going to have all the ads approved at the same time, unless you've got a very seasoned ad account and they know like this guy's good to go. They'll be fine. So just let it run. What it will do is, and this won't always happen, I've seen it not happen, but I've also seen it happen very recently. For instance, my buddy, an artist I cannot name, for he does not want to be recognized for marketing prowess, is very stern about that, but he said that he ran a split test for headlines for a fan finder, and 3 of them got approved, 2 did not. The 3 that got approved ran to $4.94 and then stopped, and the ones that took a while to get approved then ran to $4.94 themselves and stopped. So Facebook's going to do its best to keep all your results the same, given that the start times are not the same. So you're good to go there. Don't worry about that. You can be sure about the winner, but I would double check the winner against cost per 75% view, because it's determining that winner based on cost per through play. But if you do the math, you say amount spent divided by 75% views, and then compare that to every other headline, and just verify that it is true. Now, what might happen is that, and this frequently happens, is that your cost per through play will track pretty closely to your cost per 75% view, and that winner with the gold badge will typically be accurate. But if it's not the very best, I would double check how its engagement its like shares, comments, and likes stack up to the one that has the best cost per 75% view. It might be the case that you're getting a slightly higher cost per 75% view, but the engagement is just so much better, in which case I would go with that one anyways, even though it's not getting you the cheapest high intent viewers. Alexandra asked question 2, why do you suggest to set when you get charged to impression rather than through play? I thought FB will then work harder to find the right people so that it would get paid more. In other words, why would I want to use one or another setting? Thank you. There isn't a high variance between your costs when you choose, get charged per impression versus get charged through play. But you should know that with most ad platforms, if you're saying, oh, I only want to pay per click, not per impression, what it tells the ad platform is, oh, you don't know how to advertise. You don't know your settings, you don't know what's going on, and you just want to get charged per click, and thereby you're going to get charged out the asshole per click. Like, this is true with Google advertising. So it's just in general, get charged per impression, because what you're doing is you're betting on the strength of your ability to advertise, which you should. You just took a course on it. So you have the best ad setup out the gate. You want to bet against the platform, not against your own sensibilities. And so getting charged per impression, you're just saying, give me 1,000 people of this variant that I said in my ad set, this audience, give me 1,000 of them at a known cost, and I'll figure out the clicks or I'll figure out the views, right? And that's kind of a more advantageous scenario. That said, even if you do choose one or the other, we very rarely see any variance in terms of costs between the two. So I hope that answers your question, Alexandra. Robert Dale asks, hey, Circa, got a couple for you. That's cheating, but I'm going to do it anyways. Ed previously told me that he saw more sales and interaction for album launch from desktop or email subscribers. If so, should I aim for more email subs? So let me address that before we move on. No. Don't take someone else's results and assume that that is now an inference you can make on your own stack. Because everything about you is different from Ed Isola. Everything. Your age, your music, your lyrics, your branding, everything is different. And thereby, there's a common adage that you can't dip your toe in the same stream twice. Your toe's the same, but the stream is different every time. That's true here. You don't get Ed Isola's stream. That stream's gone. It doesn't exist, right? You have your stream. And this is why and it seems like a cop-out for us to say, just test it. It seems like we're saying, we don't know, so go test and spend your own money figuring it out. But that's not the case. We do know the right set of things to try, but you are going to have to try them for yourself. I've seen album launch campaigns get most of their sales from Messenger and a cheaper subscription cost from Messenger. So more sales and cheaper opt-ins. And I've seen the obverse be true. So don't make assumptions based on someone else's results. If most of my fan finder reviews are mobile and 13 to 17-year-olds, is it crazy to hope for a 40-10-10 purchase rate still? Not crazy. No, because we don't know, right? We don't know that those 13 to 17-year-olds don't have access to discretionary funding. That's an assumption. It's not an assumption we're willing to make, because how many 13 to 17-year-olds are there in the world? There's billions, probably billions, right? That would make sense. Approaching 1 billion, right? So there's a lot of people out there who fit those characteristics, and not all of them are broke and don't have access to money. So I wouldn't make that assumption. It really all depends on your genre, and these things aren't static. So if you say, oh, I'm hip-hop, and I've done a hip-hop album launch before, or fan finder before, I can't just tell you, oh, this hip-hop result is going to make sense for you, because there's so much variance. There's so many variables that you can't dip your toe in the same stream twice. In all scenarios, it's not crazy to hope for a 40-10-10 purchase rate. And regardless of what audience you're targeting, there is a marketer out there in an industry that has successfully gotten a 40-10-10 from that audience. So there's no audience out there besides like homeless people, probably, because they don't have any money to buy anything. So obviously it's not going to get that result. That hasn't been targeted successfully in a similar marketing campaign before, right? So you have to assume there is a way. It just might not be the easiest subset of people to do it with. But that doesn't mean there's not a way. Hope that helps, Robert. And lastly, what's been the gamut high to low for opt-in price recently? Oh, anywhere from $10 for a campaign that I would cut off, right, down to I've seen 20-cent opt-ins. One of our agency clients right now is getting 20-cent opt-ins. I've never gotten that result. Shout out to Jack McCarthy, our IndieX agency lead. He achieved that along with this client whose music and branding is responsible for that result. So I can't take any credit. Jack can take a little bit of credit, and that artist can take a lot of credit for that amazing result. So it runs the gambit. Like I've had literally from 20 cents, which is a low bottom, up to infinity because there were no opt-ins from that ad test, right? If I get 0 opt-ins from a $10 ad test, my cost per opt-in was infinite mathematically. So that's a big range, right? So it's not useful to kind of look at these sorts of benchmarks. 40-10-10 is a more consistent benchmark to derive inferences from. Guy Ford asks, hi Kyle, I need a pep talk. I did my album launch, but I'm feeling a bit down about it. It was really difficult to get signups, even after a ton of work on my landing page. I've decided that the fan finder, while engaging, just wasn't bringing in the right kind of people interested in taking the next step. I got just over 100 subs and made 4 sales, 2 to people I already knew. Open rates were around 50% and click rates around 20%. I did have some nice back and forth with around 15 people by email. All right, so first let me address that, right? Your sales rate is the problem there, I assume. I know you had a little bit of trouble on opt-in costs, but your sales rate's the main issue because your open and click rates were great, right? Like 50% open and click rates, 20% click rates on an email campaign, very good, very good. So that's not a problem we need to diagnose. Your email subject headlines, the audience you're targeting, they wanted to open these emails. And out of 100 subs, like that's a fair amount of test data. It's not the most, it's not 1,000 subscribers, but it's good enough to start deriving inferences. And you got 50 of them to open per email, half of them, right? That's crazy. So, first of all, driving that opt-in cost down would increase subs. The offer and the ad and the landing page is what's responsible for that high opt-in cost. The offer was not communicated in a way that's enticing to a broad majority of those you're turning on to your music, right? Or, and this is rarer, but can be the case, that those people who are you turning on to your music weren't that turned on to it to begin with. That's less likely. So getting that opt-in cost down is crucial, but I would say your main goal right now after this is to run a postmortem and determine and ask directly out of those 2 people you didn't know who bought, what made them buy? What are they like? Where do they live? What do they listen to? How much discretionary spending are they responsible for? Get all the info you can about those 2 people, bring it back to the top of the funnel. Narrow down your fan finder to be reaching those people. Narrow down your opt-in and redress your offer to speak directly to those people. So if you find out from one of your new customers that you created successfully that the reason they bought was this email that said this story, great. Now take what's enticing about that to that person and see if you can put it into the actual opt-in offer and just say, X benefit or X, emotional story. Put that in the opt-in stage and see if you get better opt-in costs. So any data, any positive data you get from an unsuccessful marketing campaign, you need to analyze the positive data and then use that for inferences to drive better results at the top or in the middle. That's my advice. My plan now is to work to keep the people on my list engaged. Very good. With weekly emails. Very good. I'm also doing my weekly live stream. I really need to post on FB more, but I mainly just do the live once a week. Should I repost it and announce it a few days in advance? Pretty sure you'll say yes, but hearing it from you will make me actually do it. Yeah, you could do that. Yes. But also, don't be afraid to run a persecutory analysis on your live stream. If you're not getting much Facebook engagement from it and it feels like a futile effort, change it up, right? Like, what I think if all of the things that I did for not only the musicians I've worked with, but this company, Entrepreneur, if all the things I did that failed were still running the same way today, we would not be here. I would not be in front of this camera to talk to you. So you have to be ruthless with cutting things that aren't working and reiterating and figuring out a different way, right? So if the live streams aren't doing great for your education and nurturing of engaged fans, then figure out another way to educate and nurture them, right? Spin up 4 options, 4 other ideas, and try them, and then cut 3 and go with 1. But if it is going well on Facebook Live, then yes, I would announce beforehand. I would also give people a reason to tune back in. This could be as simple as I'm going to mention your name on the next one. It could be as simple as, opening a loop. At the end of your one live stream, open a loop that will be closed after another loop is opened on the next live stream. So these are recurring, like attention grabbing tasks that you kind of need to do. Like, I haven't been doing this well enough with our YouTube channel, but I want to start, which is I want to give people something to look forward to. One thing I saw was this YouTuber Potato Jet he responds to comments from his last video on the next video. Great strategy. Gets people watching. It's like, oh, I left a comment on the last video, which means I should watch the next video to see if I get mentioned. What an addicting premise, right? So look at how you can bake in things like that to drive retention from your warm audience. Okay, and then I also plan to cut out shorter sections of some of my live streams and post them on socials. Great repurposing of content. I plan to make new fan finders / performance videos and run small amounts of traffic to them until one sticks out as being a good one. Yes, look to Dennis Yu and Blitz Metrics for this format. What they do is they create 1-minute snippet videos. They run them on Facebook and Instagram for $1 a day for 7 days. So they'll do 30 1-minute videos, right? And then they'll put them in a schedule to post to Facebook, run a boosted post $1 a day campaign on them, and if one sticks out, that becomes a ads manager ad campaign where they're really putting a spend behind it, testing audiences, and putting an offer behind it. So that's a great strategy. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to some of your trademark can-do attitude and positivity. Hey, man, you can do it. What's important in all of this is that you not sacrifice your comfort of living to try any of this stuff. That way, if something doesn't work and you need to reiterate or you need to pivot, it's not as if you've been like, you really needed this to pull through, right? Like, it's okay to take a risk. Like, for instance, like when me and Nino took the risk of doing pre-orders on this campaign, we had a lot of data going into that risk. We knew kind of like, okay, even if this goes cock up, we could just pull together, get the funds, and fulfill the orders. But it didn't. But in general, you don't want to stress out your day-to-day life in order to achieve things. You want to add to them cumulatively over time so that you're not riding on anything being particularly great, and you can take a completely agnostic approach to what you're doing, right? You can cut it ruthlessly because it's not like you're pot committed, right? If I put 8 hours of a day I didn't have into this marketing campaign and now I need it to work because I bent over backwards, right? I overextended myself to get it done. Now I have an emotional tie to that marketing campaign and I can't be ruthless with it or as objective. So try to maintain that approach. It's like, do what you can in your extra hours, schedule ruthlessly and cut ruthlessly. Don't get pot committed with any given idea. Because what works is not the exact right one secret trick. What works is trying many different things and whittling down to the best performing things over time and building upon that. And we stand as proof of that. So I hope that helps, man. I hope that motivates you. Bradley Osborne says, hi, Indies. I have a simple question. What direction would you give for the leanest startup? Talking about lean startup? I have one song I'm happy to online currently, no images, and a solid logo I'm happy with. I believe you're saying you have one song online currently, no images for you as an artist, and a solid logo. Okay. I'm thinking of doing a simple offer for the above the fold on my website, maybe a free push shipping starter pack or a free download of the track in exchange for opting in. I feel a free download is kind of boring and not sure why anyone would care for a free download anyway. No one does. Unless people who are so out of the loop that they don't understand that downloads aren't a thing anymore. And, I mean, those people buy records too. So don't count them out, but they're not the majority. They're very rare. they don't watch a whole lot of youthful content. Let that be a clue to you. I'll drive traffic to the site using... I'll drive traffic to my site using the FB page and a music video ad. Thoughts? Sorry if this is a bad question. Not a bad question, Brad. There are no bad questions. Only bad people named Kenny Kaminsky. Sorry.
Didn't hear you.
Okay. Total Control. Total Control Enterprises. Yeah, there's no bad questions, man. Don't worry about that. I would first you need to test your music video to see if it's capable of driving an audience, right? Like, for instance, if my goal was to go out to the town square and sell my wares to the crowds of people, the first question being, how do I get the crowd of people, right? Am I doing magic tricks? Does that work? What magic tricks gather the best audience so that I can then sell them my wares in the town square? So, like, you don't want to just go out to the town square with a plan of selling wares. You want to first figure out how you're going to get that audience. Compartmentalize your goals. So first you test the bait that you're using, your music video. Once you have a good audience and a good setup for how that ad's going to look, then test the offer on the people who have watched that video. So now you're retargeting people who have watched that video with this offer for an opt-in. A free download is not a good offer. You need something more, and you need more content. Like, if you don't have any images, get some images, man. That's not enough to launch with. But once you're able to put together a robust opt-in offer, test that on the people who have already watched this video. And only then, if that works really well, would I combine the two to cold audience, and rarely would I. I usually run 1 or 2 or 3 step ad funnels to then get to the page for the offer. So there's work ahead of you, good sir. You're going to want to make sure that your music video tracks well with the audiences you're targeting. I would use a fan finder on that music video, pending that it is something we would run a fan finder on, which you can check out in the which videos work best section of that training. And if it is, run a fan finder, do the full test, do the full campaign, and validate that you can get engaged viewers who really like what they're hearing and seeing at a known, predictable, low cost. And once you know that, all things are possible. So you first need to verify that. And then you're going to need more content for a solid offer. I hope that helps, man. I know it sucks that you're not as close as you might have thought, but I promise you it's worth it. And just you have enough to run a fan finder, and that in itself is incredibly rewarding. And if you have a song out on streaming, it's going to grow as a result of your fan finder, hands down, as long as your fan finder is successful. And if it's not successful, dust yourself off and make a video more to spec with what we're recommending in that training, and I guarantee you it will be dope. As long as you have good music, that's going to be fire. So do that first. Those are my recommendations. Chris Robley, how's it going, man? Chris asks, if this discussion is about marketing assets only, then you can tell me to take a hike. Get out of here, Chris. But since you've been immersed in video for a while, I figured I'd ask you in case there's a quickish answer to an issue I've been having. So I exported a fan finder music video from Final Cut Pro 10. Video codec is H.264, so it is a .mp4 file, I believe. 1920 by 1080, 1080 HD, 1080p. Color space is standard, Rec 709, 30 frames per second. When I play the file on my computer via QuickTime, the colors appear exactly like the version in Final Cut. Then I uploaded the video to YouTube. That video on the video page plays back with deeper reds, which is a bit problematic because the video already has a kind of orange amber quality, and when it's exaggerated, no good. I searched some forums like Creative Cow, but here's the strangest part. When I'm in the YouTube studio and click the editor tool, the raw video file that is displayed is correct. So, like, YouTube has the file in its correct state, but somewhere it's adding reds. What might be happening, Chris, I'm not entirely sure, but what might be happening is that your acquisition was done in a different format than H.264. So, if your video files, the footage that came into Final Cut that you imported, was Apple ProRes, then that might be your issue. Because Apple ProRes throws off all this weird HDR content. If you can tell me the acquisition format of your files, so if you can pull up like one of your camera's files that you got the footage back from, and you can go to properties and tell me what the file format is, that might help us out a lot. If it's .move, that's we're getting in more in the territory of where that might be the issue. What you can do, anyways, is conform it. So I use Adobe Media Encoder. I'm not sure if Final Cut has an equivalent, but it's meant for taking like 10 footage files from my camera and setting an output codec that I want to output those footage files to, that's not going to have all these issues that Apple ProRes or QuickTime formats have. And I transcode them into that new format. Then I use those new files to edit my video. Now you can do this. You can transcode all your footage files, and then you can just swap them out, so you don't actually have to re-edit the video. That's probably your best option, but if any of these things make sense, let me know in the chat, and I will help you any further that I can. So yeah, let me just refresh here to make sure we don't have any extras. We do. Jessica Braun asks, Kyle, I just watched the Content Blitz Blueprint, really enjoyed it, and I'm preparing to start a Facebook live stream from my Corey page where I perform a cover pop song. Hold on a second. I'm planning on doing the production in Logic Pro ahead of time, screen sharing that and explaining it for a bit, then recording the main vocal line live. After that, I'll do a quick Q&A for anyone who actually shows up and take any requests for subsequent shows. I figure all that's going to take about 10 minutes, if that. Is that long enough for a recurring live stream? Absolutely. Also, I know that vertical video goes a long way on Facebook. Should I film my live stream in a vertical aspect ratio? Thanks. I wouldn't. Vertical video doesn't go that long. Vertical video has outperformed this aspect ratio in some tests, but square typically outperforms both of them. And you could do it in square. It's not the hugest deal because there's so much engagement baked into doing a live stream. Facebook places an abnormal amount of reach on live videos. Prioritizes live in the algorithm, in the EdgeRank algorithm. Further, a lot of those who are actively following you will be notified when you go live, which is another benefit. Like if I post something, you're not going to get a notification about it necessarily. But if I go live, you will. So it has those inherent benefits, and you don't necessarily need the juice from the different aspect ratio to make it perform. But increases usability, increases replayability in the news feed, so it'll be a good experiment to run. And 10 minutes is fine. I hope that helps, Jessica. Chelsea asks, comments and a question on the newest podcast episode. I've been using WordPress for a couple of years. One word of advice, my site was hacked last week and I had to spend a bunch of money on getting it cleaned up. When getting any site on your own hosting, make sure to get the security and firewall from the beginning. It seems like an added expense, but it is not. I agree with you, which is why our site is secured by 2 separate services, and we're also doing backups. But totally agree with you, Chelsea. Okay, after that mess, I looked at Thrive themes, and while they look great, I recently redid my website and would rather not redo it again for at least a few more months. Thrive Cart also looks good, but is another expense that I would rather not spend my budget on this month. I'm 2 weeks from releasing a single that I will be performing at a series of conventions over the next 6 months, hoping that it will lead into an EP to release as well. I have a couple $100 set aside for FB ads. My question is, do you have any experience with WooCommerce add-on or ticketing plugins? I was hoping to use it to sell tickets to pop-up shows with a bump on merch or discounted friend tickets. You can do WooCommerce add-ons for merch. You can do WooCommerce add-ons for an order bump, if that's what you're talking about in terms of the bump on merch or discounted friend tickets. You can do an order bump or an upsell. WooCommerce has one-click upsells add-ons. It also has order bump add-ons. I believe it's called Pretty Checkout Form is the name of the add-on. I'm not entirely certain about it, but we do have recommendations for it in a few of our trainings, free push shipping and handling, and also album launch. That can work. If you're familiar with WooCommerce, if you like using it, go ahead. That will work. In terms of strategy for how to spend your couple $100 for this goal that you've outlined, which is you're releasing a single in 2 weeks, and then you'll be performing it at a series of conventions over the next 6 months. What I would do is I would create an opt-in offer on your website with a very simple link, like a very simple URL, and announce it from stage. After you perform your song, you get your claps, then say, hey, if you want that song and a little ancillary content behind it, go to this website on your mobile phone right now, and I'll send it to you. And get your opt-ins from stage. That's huge. You can massively build your email list pretty rapidly, and these are all people who really dig you because they pulled out their phone and they saw you live. It's a huge difference between you convinced me in my newsfeed. So get those opt-ins from those conventions. Retarget those opt-ins with sales offers. So when they opt in, you're going to want to be sending them email for nurturing, and then once you've nurtured them, make them a dedicated offer, and also retarget them in the ad platform with that offer, and generate sales from your conference attendees or convention attendees. As for the single, if you want to promote it, you want to get more streaming numbers, I would run a fan finder on it. And then I would retarget, or in the comments of that fan finder, include my Spotify or my streaming link, and then retarget to Spotify and streaming for anyone who watches that video. I would also notify anyone at the convention. I would point any opt-ins from the convention to that streaming link with the first email, and also give them ancillary content about the streaming, about the single. Then, if you do make ancillary content like behind the scenes content or a live performance video, anything that supports the single, like if I like this single, then I'll also want to watch this video, run that as follow-up education ads to the people you turn on with your fan finder. I pray that all made sense, and I hope it helps, Chelsea. Okay, let's go into the chat here and start answering questions. What's up, Kevin? What's up, Broadest Blue? What is up, Jeffrey York? What is up, Alfredo, Morris, Wilson, and Brandon? Brandon says, I'm having trouble formulating an approach for my fan finder campaign. I have a one-man band, and the songs don't work acoustic, so a live video isn't going to work. Any ideas? Friends have offered to help, but when it comes down to actually practicing and recording the video, they're never available, it seems. When you say the songs don't work acoustic, do you mean that you produce them electronically? Because if so, that's very straightforward how to do that. There's all the evidence in the world that a live performance where you're building the beat, right? So like I might have the camera here. Let me just do this. Right? Like this is one shot and I'm right here like building the beat. Right? So I might build a drum loop, switch to session view, loop that. Then I'm pulling the camera up, right? And maybe I like sing something into the mic, right? And then that starts looping. And now I'm going to another shot. Especially if the camera's moving, if you can get someone to hold the camera, that setup's huge. That setup has made 100 million view videos before. Look to FKJ. Look to Mark Riboulet. Who else makes looping electronic production videos that are fire? Who makes like, do you know anyone else besides FKJ that makes like single man, like building loops, building a whole song in front of video?
I know Ramzoid does a lot of that stuff.
His
final products aren't like that, but he does a lot of that.
What's his name?
Ramzoid.
Check out Ramzoid. Word.
Ramzoid stuff.
Yeah, so check those out, buddy, if that is what you're talking about. If not, clarify in the chat. The Broadest Blue says, where are people submitting the questions that Circa is answering? In the Facebook chat below, there's a Facebook comments section below this video right now, and people leave questions there before the live stream starts. After the live stream starts, questions go right over here. Okay? Hope that helps. Here's good too. Broadest Blue says, only thing I have for sale on my website right now is my $25 180 gram vinyl record. Email list does not yet have a sequence of emails set up for somebody who signs up. Is it worthwhile to run a fan finder? Yes, but it's an afternoon to make that sequence of emails. If you have content to go to that emails can point to, then like set up the emails, man. If you're willing to set up a fan finder, you're willing to set up the email automation. Do that first. That's my recommendation. Manuel Moreno asks, I asked a question on the FB page regarding a niche genre called Tejano music. Do you guys know that? Tejano? Tejano? No? Okay. Most of its fans are in a non-green-lit country. Any recommendation on implementing indie strategy to this genre? Let me do a little bit of research right here. Tejano music. It's Tex-Mex. Texas would be my recommendation. It says Texan Mexican music. Musica Tejana. I would go with Texas, man. because there's a large Mexican population there, and it's the birthplace of that music. That's what I would target, man. I hope that helps. I hope that helps. There's states in the U.S. that have a large Hispanic and Latin American population. And like anything on the border, like New Mexico, Arizona, right? Like anything that's on the border there is going to be a candidate for that type of music, because it's just southern United States mixed with northern Mexico. That's the whole southern United States is a candidate for that. Furthermore, in Miami, there's a heavy population of Latin Americans. And I mean, even as far north as where we are, in Orlando, there is. So there are places in the United States that are going to have the heritage in place for that type of music. And I would just target those. I would go broader, because the likelihood that you're going to get a whole lot of targeting out of Tejano music artists is probably slim, I imagine. Like, there's not a whole lot of them compared to like pop or rap or whatever. So I would target more geographically, like less intense narrowing of your target. Go with less niche. Like, if they're of a certain age and they are they're in this specific zip code or this specific area that we know is heavily Tex-Mex, then target the whole thing and let Facebook figure out who in that zip code or who in that area is right. Don't use as much interest targeting as we otherwise would. Besides that, there are targeting options based on what I'm seeing on the history of that genre. Hope that helps, man. Well, Guy Ford, thanks, man. Thank you, buddy. Major Moment, LOL. LOL to you as well, good sir. Spatial Soul says, hey, man, I'm currently planning my next fan finder now that I have more experience with what type of content works. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I'm looking at doing it single shot behind the counter at the cafe I work at, doing an FKJ style mix of... Yes! Yes! That's all. At the cafe you work, you're going to do an FKJ style video? Flames. I bet that will be fire. Excited to see it, dude. Yes. Perfect. I never thought of that, like doing it at your workplace. Fire. Bradley Osborne just arrived. Sorry, guys. Struggled to find it, though. All good. Chris Roby, cool. Thanks. I'll try that. Hope it helps, Chris. Chelsea Marie, thanks. Thank you for asking your question. Brandon Habermas. It's grunge alternative rock. One-man grunge alternative rock. Looping. In the What Videos Work Best lesson, we showed a girl who is actually doing grunge covers, looping herself. Do what she did, because her video is 300 million on Facebook. There's literally an exact example of your genre. Obviously, she's got like a more pretty, less grungy voice, and she's a pretty girl, like, you know, but you take that out of it and it's grunge. She's doing grunge covers. She did like a Nirvana. She did a Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is less grunge, but same era as grunge. And there's some grunge sensibilities in there, but it's just her. She picks up a guitar, strikes out a riff, looped. Okay, moves over, picks up a bass, strikes out a bass line, goes down to the drums, records a drum loop, and now she's at the keys and she's singing. You could totally do that, dude. You could totally do that. So I hope that helps. Kevin McCash, Ari got something out like that? I don't know what you're referring to, Kevin. Please clarify. Morris Mills, when will be kicking out your Spotify breakdowns, putting money, FB ads into building your audiences? I think that you were going to address this. Yes! The Spotify training is being built literally every day. I'm recording lessons every day, including today. I'm on module number 3 right now, and I think there's 6 modules. Once I'm done recording, I then have to edit. So a lot of this working up to building the training was doing my tests. So I have a lot of test data from a partner of ours that does Spotify playlisting campaigns, and they're awesome, and they're the only... That industry is full of snakes. But this guy's awesome and a real cool dude, and actually built his playlists with Greenlight countries. And that's awesome. There's like very few people are building playlists with Greenlight countries. If you go look at the listenership from playlists, it's like, it's not Greenlight. And he is. He's doing United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. He's not fucking around. And so a lot of our data comes from that company, O'Connell Media. And we're going to be offering them as an indie deal in your Indie Pro Indie Deals section up here very soon. But a lot of our data comes from them, and then I had to do some additional testing on some ideas that they had never tested out on. Ari Herstand is a dope looper, Kevin. Yes, that man knows how to loop. And he's probably got some great videos on it. Very true. Shout out to Ari Herstand. So yeah, the data gathering for the Spotify training took a lot longer than I thought it would. So I started building lessons for module 1, and then I was like, okay, I just got to wait for these ads to finish, and then I can build the rest. But all that data testing took a lot longer than I thought it would. Wrapped up recently. O'Connell Media, Jeffrey. O'Connell Media. So that ad testing took a while to wrap up, and now I'm done with all my testing, and I'm fully into building my lessons. So once I finish recording, I'm on module 3. Once I get to module 6, then I pull everything into Premiere Pro and edit it. Then I upload it, and I have to write all of the text descriptions for the lessons because we want to make sure there's a text accompaniment that explains everything the video explains. So a lot of people were like, oh, I have to go back and watch the whole video to get this one little bit of information I need. No, you can scan for reference and index and search by text in the lesson descriptions. We've been doing that ever since the update of Fan Finder and the email marketing training. So that will be out soon. I don't want to put a release date on it just yet, because everything tends to just go to shit when I do that. And I want to make sure this gets out cleanly. I'm going to be moving this office and my home next month right before I go to CD Baby for that conference. So I've got a lot coming up. I don't want to make any promises, but I'm going to try to get it out before then. And I mean, I should be able to. See, I just screwed myself over. The second I say just that, now there's going to be like a meteor that hits me in the forehead area, and I'm going to be in a coma. So thanks, guys. So yeah, let's get these last questions here. Bradley is asking if I needed any additional info when I answered his question. No, I don't. I believe I answered it rather robustly, good sir. Spatial Soul, yeah, dude, tagline, they told me not to quit my day job, so I did this. Great headline. Test more, but I like that one. Brandon says, cool, thanks. Thank you, Brandon. Alfredo Rivera, hi Kyle, how do I advertise my music on Spotify? If you're saying using Spotify ads, don't. If you're saying advertise your music to Spotify, you want to point people from another platform to Spotify, I would go, what I've been doing is Spotify is separate from the buddy system, but it enhances every stage. Someone needs a place to listen to your music as they're going through your buddy system. That used to be done on CD players. Now it's done on Spotify. So you need to eventually get them there, but the second you send them there, it's a data black hole and you're not sure if they're going to stream. So you need to track as much as possible up to the point of sending them to Spotify, and don't send them to Spotify without having tracked them first. So you have like, they're in a custom audience, or they're in an email list, or they're in your messenger list. You already know who they are, and you can follow back up with them if you need to. Then you're safe to send them to Spotify. But because of how dicey it is, you want to make sure your cost to send them to Spotify is at the lowest it can possibly be. So what I'm doing is I've got 2 fan finders running right now, County Graves and Sacrifice. Sacrifice is way better than County Graves, but I want people to see both. Because they're my only 2 songs that are out right now. I have County Graves on Spotify. I'm retargeting all of my 75% viewers with a behind the scenes little snippet featurette about County Graves. I've got like 20 of these snippets as ancillary content. That's all education stage content. I'm trying to educate my 75% viewers on who I am and who my team is and why we make music. So I'm running that to them as a video views campaign. The audience is 75% viewers of either of my videos. The content in the ad is behind the scenes 1-minute snippets for behind the scenes about the making of the song. And the objective of the ad campaign is video views. But there is a link to Spotify on the ad. There's a button, say listen more. That's driving a lot of my Spotify growth right now. I went from like 0 followers to now I'm at like almost 100 in the last 3 weeks. I've grown that song to like 1.4K streams, even though I don't have a fan base yet. I don't have an audience because I'm just starting up my own music release again after like 5 years of being off. Or about 4 years. So very encouraging results, and I'm not even trying to send them to Spotify. So what I mean by that is to say, focus on the buddy system. But if you include throughout your buddy system, throughout your campaigns, ways to get to Spotify, your Spotify will grow. Don't advertise to Spotify directly just yet. Once we have the Spotify Field Guide training out, there will be some recommendations in that for directly advertising to Spotify. But right now, don't spend extra money getting people to Spotify. Spend extra money getting people through your buddy system and give them lots of opportunities to go to Spotify as you're doing that. And I hope that makes sense. Okay, moving on. Major moment. Oh, do you run your Indiepreneur Spotify playlist we submitted, but it seems like you forgot about it? No. I do not run it. Corinne runs it. She's been a little bogged down prepping for CD Baby, getting a major and super exciting product and offering that we're going to have available maybe later this year. Very, very tight under wraps, but it's going to be awesome, especially for indies abroad who are trying to sell physical products. So I hope that didn't give it away. So she's been busy, so she hasn't been keeping up maybe with Indiepreneur Spotify editions. But she'll get back on the horse. Just give her a little bit of time. She's doing a whole lot for the company right now. She's also running our Indie Founder Round. So she's running all the students that are going through that right now, and that's badass. Like, all the stuff they're doing is nuts. And it's so cool to watch it and not be a part of it. You know, like I didn't have anything to do with it. But watching it happen is so cool. There's nothing more rewarding than that. Like Caracal, one of our main case studies, like I'm so proud of what she's accomplished. And she did it all, primarily by herself. And when I see people go from taking the training to now being a master at it and being able to help out in the group when people have questions, but also getting that main stage and touring and being on TV and all that shit, it's the coolest in the world. So I'm very excited for all these indie founders because Caracal was one of our first indie founders. And Corinne's busy with all that right now, but hopefully soon she'll be all good. Spatial Soul, sweet, thanks, man. Bradley Osborne, awesome, thanks. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining me. This has been a great Indies Live Q&A. I thank all of you for participating. I promise you, I'm hard at work for that Spotify Field Guide training, and we're also, believe it or not, in the process of updating almost every single training that's in the training vaults. So all those trainings are getting an update based on our most current practices at the agency. So expect updates for album launch, expect updates for Messenger, expect updates for fan page optimization and free push shipping and handling funnel to come sometime within the next 6-7 months. All that's going to be updated, plus Spotify Field Guide training, plus Corinne's Greenlight boosting full training, which is going to be dope. So lots of great stuff coming. Oh, does Facebook pay for video views? No. Depending on what you mean. They do have ad revenue for videos, but not from your advertising. Dan Coate, for an album launch, have you had people do an album experience that was self-paced so they didn't have to wait until the next day to get an email? No. But you can try it. It's just typically, in all marketing that's self-paced performs worse than marketing that's drip. So, not in all scenarios. There are some where that's not true. But it's usually after a purchase has been made that drip content won't outperform self-paced content. So, like for instance, if you guys got into Indie Pro and it was drip, you'd be pretty pissed off, right? But before the purchase, drip typically works better. Hope that helps, man. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your questions, and I will see you guys at the next Indies Live, I believe. Yes. And awesome things are coming. There's so much I had to bite my tongue to not give away here, so I promise you there's dope stuff coming.